Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So MSI just dropped a ton of new information on the Claw 8 EX AI Plus. About $1,500, June 23rd launch, Intel ArcG3 Extreme inside. And here's the thing guys, so 6 months ago I would have probably laughed at $1,500 for a handheld, but with the Steam Deck OLED now sitting at $789 and $949, the price gap to the Claw is not what it used to be. So suddenly, the MSI Claw is way more tempting than I expected. So yes, it still has that same ridiculous name, MSI Claw 8 EX AI Plus. It sounds like somebody lost a fight with a product spreadsheet, but the hardware is actually serious. So today I just want to go through the specs, why Intel ArcG3 Extreme matters, and whether this thing actually makes sense at $1,500 now that the rest of the handheld market just got more expensive. So the big headline is the chip. So the Claw 8 EX AI Plus uses Intel ArcG3 Extreme with ArcB390 graphics. So it has a 14-core chip in a 2 performance, 8-core efficiency, 4 low power configuration with 12 Xe3 cores on the GPU side and CPU boost up to 4.7 GHz. So you get up to 32 gigs of LPDDR5X memory, a 1TB SSD, and an 8-inch 1920 by 1200 display at 120 Hz with VRR, 100% sRGB, and 500 nits. But it is IPS, not OLED, so that's one thing to keep in mind. So I know that some people are going to be disappointed by that. So I would have loved OLED at this price, but at least you're getting a high refresh rate VRR panel. So it has 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports as well. It has micro SD, a headphone jack, fingerprint sensor in the power button, Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, and an 80 watt-hour battery. Weight is around 785 grams, so it's not tiny, but for an 8-inch device with this kind of battery, it's not crazy either. Now real quick guys, if you guys like this kind of handheld breakdown, please hit subscribe. That is the whole vibe of this channel. And in a second, I'm just going to tell you why this $1,500 price tag is actually more reasonable than it sounds, especially after what just happened to the Steam Deck. So stick around for that. Now quickly on design, so the grip looks better than the older claws. Now early hands-on impressions say that it feels better balanced than the weight actually suggests, but visually, it is not the prettiest handheld out there. Now the void purple color is not really my thing. Just give me a clean black handheld and I'm happy for that, right? Design is secondary here though, so the real question is going to be performance. So that is where it gets interesting. PC Gamer was not allowed to run full benchmarks just yet, but they got hands-on time with Hogwarts, F125, and Battlefield 6. Now their takeaway was basically that this thing is pretty fast. At native 1200p with XeSS and frame generation, they were seeing performance that actually lines up with a 120Hz screen in some games. Forza Horizon 6 was reportedly averaging around 80 FPS on battery with XeSS 3 and multi-frame generation. Battlefield 6 was tougher but still reportedly about 60 frames per second at 1080p with XeSS. That kind of jump is what makes this device interesting, because at $1,500 you need slightly more than a better handheld, right? So you need a real generational step. I still want proper reviews and battery tests before I get too excited, because on a handheld, raw power is only half of the story, right? So if the battery collapses when you actually use the chip, the whole value argument then changes. So now let's get to the price. The number that is being reported right now is around $1,500 US. PC Gamer said MSI discussed this at the pre-Computex hands-on event. There was also a reported June 23rd launch at the same expected price. So one important caveat is that MSI said that the $1,500 is the specific configuration they had on display. So there could be cheaper variants with less memory, less storage, or a smaller display when this actually hits retail. We will not know the full SKU lineup until MSI puts the product page live. But $1,500 is still a serious number. Here is where it gets interesting though. So the Steam Deck OLED 512 just went from $549 to $789. The 1TB went from $649 to $949. That is up to $240 and $300, mostly because memory and storage costs are actually crushing the whole market. So a year ago, the math was Steam Deck at $549 versus the MSI Claw at $1,500, and the gap was almost $1,000, right? So that makes it easy to dismiss the Claw. But right now, the Steam Deck OLED 1TB is $949, and the Claw 8 EXAI Plus is $1,500. So the gap is closer to $550, and you are actually getting a meaningfully bigger performance jump for that price, right? But the value argument actually has legs now in a way that it did not before. So if you only care about raw handheld performance, this might be the first MSI Claw that genuinely makes sense. So my honest take is this, guys. I am way more interested in this handheld than I thought I would actually be. So the original Claw did not grab my attention. The newer Claw actually makes it feel like Intel is just catching up, right? This one feels a little bit different. So Intel ArcG3 Extreme could finally make Intel a serious player in handheld PCs, but the price still has to be earned. The performance has to actually be there. The battery has to hold up. The cooling has to be good as well. And the software experience just has to not feel like a chore, because this is still Windows. Xbox mode helps a lot, but it is not SteamOS, right? So the hardware might be exciting, but the experience has to prove itself. And that is going to be the real test. So let me know where you guys land on this. Does the Steam Deck price hike make the MSI Claw 8 EXAI Plus way more tempting to you guys? Or are you still waiting for something cheaper? And if the Intel ArcG3 Extreme really is the jump that people are hoping for, would $1,500 be on your table? I will be linking an article down below to savage.com if you guys want to have a read. I'm at Saavedra, guys. Thanks for hanging out, and I will catch you all in the next one.